He is alive and he's well and he's working in us. He loves us. He promises. Okay, I did take the liberty of writing down some things or typing some things because I have got to tell you the whole story, unlike poor Michelle and Sheila. That girl. I feel like Moses. Hold my arms. Yeah, and I have glasses right here. Forgive me. I just pray that God would put all of this together so that you understand, so that I don't make a mess of it. Lord Jesus, you are amazing. This is what happened to me by God. We had 9 on our team, 3 girls and 6 boys, and a mixture. We had 2 women, we had 2 men, and the rest were teenage boys, and Aaron. Okay, so we had 5 boys, Aaron, and then 4 adults. Does that come out right?
Yeah.
4 boys. On Saturday night, we bonded very quickly, more quickly than any other mission I've been on before. Sunday morning, Sister Flora, you're going to hear us say that a lot. Where's Miss Katrina? Does Miss Katrina say, well? It was awesome. Sister Flora led Bible study. She's a wonderful woman of God. Our lesson was entitled, now you understand that I was going out to serve Jesus and spread the love of Jesus all around these cities of Jacksonville.
Let me say just one thing here, okay? We were in a 100% Afro-American church, okay? And Sister Flora is 89 years old, and has the Shekinah glory is just written all over her. And I just gravitated to her and just appreciate so much her spirit. And I wanted to take her home with me. So.
We tried to put her in the luggage, but anyway, she was awesome. So, and she was a fill-in Sunday school teacher. Her lesson that morning for Sunday school that we all went to was entitled, God is in control. Of course, right? Yeah, we know that. That was nothing. It was wonderful, and I know he's in control and all that other good stuff. I didn't know I was going to learn by experience all that he had for me. Okay, I'm going to switch a little bit and give you a backstory of my son Adam. Many of you know about Adam. Many of you know that my heart has been hardened toward him, and it's wrong. I know that. I knew that back then, but it was easier to deny Adam than to let him into my heart and break it. Okay. What? Over and over. Over and over and over and over. Adam's backstory, he's had a rough life. You know, we adopted him when he was 3. And he has his own genes that affected the way he grew up or the way he developed. I think Kevin and I were able to do some good. I just can't imagine if he didn't have Kevin and me. That's another story. Drugs and alcohol continuously, even now. In so many homes, by the time he was 3, foster care, then we adopted him and his sisters. He had a rough life growing up. He was in prison for pulling a gun at a hotel. I wrote him a couple of times, but I was just disgusted. He was not the son that I had hoped for. And my heart has changed now. I don't feel that way about him. Just know that. Vile words spewed at me when he could. And I took so much offense in the past that I had gotten to the point where I just did not care to like him at all and no desire to see him. I still haven't seen him since he got out of, thank you, Rose, till he got out of prison. I still have not seen him to this day. But on Sunday, the day after my group had bonded, Adam reached out to me via Facebook message, asking if I had a picture of Grandma, that's my mom, that he could have to hang in his new house. He's been in apartments and kind of homeless, in and out of trouble, prison, like I said, for many, many years. And he's thrilled to be in a house. He's kind of proud of that. It's important to know that he hadn't contacted me since May for Mother's Day, when he did reach out and tell me Happy Mother's Day, when he wished me a happy one. So that was May. This is Sunday in June. We messaged a little bit back and forth, and I asked him about framing the picture and sending it up. Asked him if he'd like for me to frame his GED, which he earned in prison, and his birth certificate. He was so respectful. He said, please, he said, thank you. He even called me ma'am. He ma'amed me.
Wow.
I know. My heart was happy. It was a good communication, and I think I shared that with you on Sunday. I did. Oh, good. So Ed was another gentleman on our team. He was an adult. His daughter has a really bad drug problem. She had exploratory surgery because something was going on with her bladder. They figured out what was wrong. The doctor found out what he needed to do in the next 2 surgeries to be later to fix her so that she would not have any of these troubles anymore and she could go on to healing. It was awesome. We had, and you'll share about the 7 churches praying. We had 7 churches and teams and home churches praying for all of these things because we shared them. So Ed had to leave because all of a sudden his daughter was in ICU and it had to be intubated. That wasn't expected, but he had to leave. Nobody leaves mission. I think Martha Gay said that she's only had a handful in all of these years of people who had to go. And Ed was on my team. Kept him in prayer. Monday. So Ed got a call on Monday. He left Monday night. That left Dennis with 4 boys, teenage boys, between the ages of 15 and 17. It's against child protection laws to have just 1 male and 4 boys. But we did it, and we prayed. So the next day, George came. George was a pigeon this year, expecting to serve the teams. But because Dennis couldn't be alone with the boys, George had to come from being a pigeon and come and take care of being the other male adult in the room with Dennis. Pigeons are the people who go back and forth between the teams just to make sure everything's going pretty smoothly, to meet needs when needs need to be met. That kind of thing. They're there as helpers. Dennis got the call on Tuesday that his daughter Leah and Ezra's birth were imminent. 1 month earlier than planned, right? July 23rd is her due date. What was also supposed to happen on July 23rd? He has a motorcycle trip that he's been planning for months and months and months, and he's joked with his daughter saying, now listen, we need to make a deal. You need to have this baby before I go so that I can go and have fun.
She yelled at her.
He prayed. He prayed for that. Okay.
What an obedient daughter.
So,
How careful we should be.
here comes Ezra a month earlier. And Dennis left Tuesday afternoon when they determined that Leah had to have Ezra via C-section. That left George and 4 teens.
Yeah.
We're once again against child protection laws. So we got Tony from Michelle's team. Very sad for Michelle. Thank you, Lord. We got Tony on Tuesday night. here's a side note, another little backstory. I just want you to see how God has just laid this all out. It's amazing. So 3 years ago, Tony was assigned to my team and Sheila's team at Ocala. Oh no, Sheila didn't go to Ocala, sorry. 3 years ago, but he only lasted on our team for 6 hours.
I took them for you.
Because Michelle had to have him for some of the very same reasons about child protection laws, correct? Okay. See, we were following the Methodist conference rules. Okay, so he was pulled to Michelle's, and needless to say, I haven't been with him to hear his story. I don't know Tony's story. I've never heard it in my life. And remember, Tony was here at Mission,
Right.
if you remember Tony. But we didn't really have that kind of interaction for me to hear his story then, because it's a whole different thing when you're host church and serving team. Still, I knew that he had a story and that he was awesome and that he's the apple of God's eye. You will hear his story between Michelle and Michelle in a second, please. Okay. They're going to give Tony's backstory after, just so you know the extent of God's forgiveness, His goodness, and His awesome planning and timing. So we were back in sync now with the law, with Tony and George, and we worked as a great team. A lot of bonding goes on Saturday, and it's really important to bond because we're going to be working together through thick and thin. And now we had new George, and so that was another time of bonding, which is difficult after the fact. And then we lost Dennis, and we had Tony, and most everybody loves Tony and knew Tony already. Not everybody, though. And God used Tony too. Okay. So Dennis was supposed to share with a devotion on Wednesday morning, but he was gone. So I said to Tony, since you're the new Dennis, you have to give the devotion this morning. And I was mostly joking, but Tony said, okay, of course, because we're supposed to have our story. We're supposed to share it with joy. During his testimony, you're not going to believe this, but I cried waterfalls. You all know that I cry ugly, and it was ugly. Thank you. Switch. Thank you. I was blubbering. It was ugly. You get the picture. Tony was giving his testimony and described a once hurting young man. Not only was he giving his own personal story, he was describing my son's current condition and situation. And it made his testimony all the more special to me. About an hour after that, Dennis's daughter, Leah, was induced. At 5:52, we found out the baby Ezra had arrived. Was that your story? Okay, sorry. So Tony encouraged me to reach out to Adam and to only do the positive stuff. He reminded me that we don't like to be corrected by our parents because Adam knows what he's doing wrong and getting enough condemnation for his own heart. He encouraged me again to reach out to him and let him know of my unconditional love. And I said, oh yeah, the same kind of unconditional love that Jesus shows for us. He doesn't condemn us. Why do I think I have the power and the right to condemn others? And I was. He loves us with an unconditional love no matter what. If I gossip, that's a sin. He still loves me. If I overeat, that's a sin. He still loves me. Sin is sin, and he still loves me. I still need to show and tell my son that I love him. I don't like the things he does and that he's verbal about and the pictures that he shares on Facebook. But it's not my place anymore to point out that he's wrong. And I keep all his sin against him because God doesn't hold my sin against me. So Dennis came back on Thursday, and Tony left. And that was good and sad because of what Tony had done for my life. Tony went back to Michelle's church. He told her that I was the reason he was switched to our church. And for how long? 2 nights. Tony's encouragement led me to message Adam on Friday afternoon through Facebook. I told him I was thinking about him and wanted to say hi and that I love him. He responded back quickly and said, "Thinking about me? That was random, LOL, but thank you. It's nice to know someone is." I responded back, "Random? Nah. I always think about you. I just failed to tell you. I'm hoping to do much better. I love you." His response, "I love you too, Mom." Here's how it all came together and why it all came together. George was the first to be reassigned when Ed had to leave because he was a pigeon. That meant that a second person had to leave so that Tony could come. God worked it all out, that the baby would come when he did so that Dennis could easily go on his motorcycle trip on the day that the baby was supposed to come. Did God want Ed's daughter to be sick? Did God want Ezra and Leah to be in a little bit of danger? No, I don't think so. But he has allowed it to happen in this case for me. I believe that God has given Ed's daughter Debbie, Dennis, and Leah a spin-off story too. We might not know what it is right now, or we might. But because of this prayer circle was drawn, God allowed us to document what went on. And then I got this wonderful message from one of my team members. He's 15, Alexander, from his mom. She used his phone to text me and tell me how much she appreciated all of us helping with him, and that he would never have another week like he did this time. Oh, yes, he will. My heart is full. I was only expecting to go and serve God and the people of Jacksonville. I did not realize nor expect that God would reach down and touch me too. Thank you. Don't give up, you guys. You have to find your place to serve Him. Don't come here week after week and sit and listen. Reach out. We have a lot of people to reach. He's not coming back until everyone is heard. So do your part so that everybody can hear so we can go to heaven. I think that's all I have. There are so many stories that just are amazing, but God used this part, and it was just really, truly awesome.
Wow. You know, we think we're signing up to go, do this huge ministry to an outreach that reaches others, and that we're going to be the key figures for that. But it always comes back to we're the ones that gets ministered to. It was for us. It was something that God wanted to do in us, and the only way He's able to do that is if we're willing, if we surrender, if we're obedient. And I'm thankful that I was obedient to go this year. And
Can you tell that story?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Real quick, I got my orders to, I guess the team that I was supposed to report to was supposed to be with Sheila. And not that she was on the team, but I was a little disappointed because I put on my application that I wanted to be with Sally. I only really signed up this year, with another motive. I wanted to go because Sally said, I talked to the pastor of the church, and there's a lot of needs there, handyman needs, like electrical and, this stuff. And I thought, wow, well, that's kind of what I do. And I would feel very comfortable doing that. And I could also bless the church. So I said, well, yeah, I'll just drive my truck up, have all my tools and all my electrical stuff, and things will just be, I'll be able to serve and still be in my comfort zone. And God had other plans. So by me, signing the application and sending my money, I was pretty much committed to do whatever the Celebrate Jesus wanted me to do. And so I did mumble and grumble a little about that. Fortunately, I did not go to the point where I called Martha Gay and those that were in charge and say, hey.
I have never heard him talk the way he talked to me two Sundays ago or whenever he got his letter.
Well,
that was not Dennis.
I just said, I ain't going.
I actually remember that conversation.
Yeah. Forgive me, please. That wasn't me, all right? But anyways, I was thankful that I didn't go to that extent where I complained to a larger degree for those in charge. And then, what was it? Just a few days before, some dynamics had happened to where they needed to do some shuffling around, and that's when I got my new orders to go to Simpson with Sally. So that's the backstory for that.
It's important.
Yeah. Oh God, there's so many neat things, and Sally didn't share much about our visitation, but it was really cool. Some of the places we went, well, first of all, let me tell you, the church was right in downtown Jacksonville, and the streets blocks away from the church were what I would consider the hood. I mean, do you think you know where the hood is in our town? This place was far beyond that.
Martha Gay said that this, out of all of the missions that she's done and been over, this was the worst area she has ever seen, right where Simpson was. And these people, the people of the church, traveled in.
Yeah, they commuted into the church. The surrounding community didn't make up their congregation. Their church was relatively affluent, but they were from the suburbs. And I kind of got the impression, since we didn't really have a whole lot of support from the church, that they didn't really want those people in their church. But too bad. We're going out anyway. Hopefully there'll be a fallout from that, and there will start getting those people, and they will reach out to them because there are so many needs. The houses, I call them shotgun houses, because you just run right after one, right after the other, and you can probably protect your front door from your back room, with a shotgun. But